Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I'm here with the Juke-R in live racing, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this car because it's a very interesting car when it comes to matchmaking, and it brings me to a particular category of cars that is worth discussing for live racing, and that is the low performance point high Evo cars. Low performance point high Evo has what I call a matchmaking advantage when it is placed against other cars in the lobby. It's not that these cars are faster than dyno or that they're super effective against all cars. It's just that they run pretty well in most lobbies against other cars because they're running such a deficit on performance points as compared to the Evo points. Now, you understand that high Evo points means the car is going to do better at the same level of upgrades versus a lower Evo point higher performance point means you're running much more upgrades to run the same time. And what the game seems to favor is that it favors high Evo point, low performance point cars, in that when you're matchmaking against other cars, you tend to get what I call a favorable lobby setting. Does this mean you're going to win everything? No, these cars are not dyno busters. Unless, of course, you also find one that both has low PP high Evo and dyno busts, in which case, congratulations, you found probably a very dominating car for most lower lobbies. Most lower PP point high Evo setups are not maxed out cars, therefore, you're not going to be in hyper lobby doing this. You're only going to be in the slower lobbies, usually somewhere between the 8.5 all the way down to, say, 13-second lobbies are where most of these cars fall into, with a good chunk of them falling into the 10-second to 12-second range. This particular car, for example, is running on a 11.0 dyno, and I'm mostly facing opponents in the 11.2 range with some outliers like the NSX-R, which is a very competitive car. I ran into one guy doing 10.9s, but other than that, generally speaking, they're going to be within your class. Now, the thing about the Juke-R is that the stage 6s that they have for the Juke-R are very biased. I'm not doing a stage 6 effect video, but I'm going to run through the stage 6 effects for you anyway, real quick. Bottom line is that the biggest stage 6 in the Juke is the engine stage 6. I happen to have good ones. I have intake, which is not so good, but let's go in order. Engine's the best, followed by nitrous, then body, and then everything else literally pretty much sucks. So what happens is you're going to go to tire, which still has a somewhat of an effect, but then intake and then trans and turbo has almost no effect. In fact, trans is so bad in a sense that you can get 1700 Evo without these stage 6s, the additional ones. But if you actually add them in, you're going to lose Evo points. So a maxed car actually runs less Evo than a partially built car. 1700 Evo is very impressive for any T4 car. And in addition, this car is very interesting in that at stage 5 only, it already runs 11.8. Okay, if you compare that to other T4 cars, for example, the Evora GT430 only runs a 12.2 at stage 5 only, although it beats dyno, so it's more like a 12.1 or 12.0 something. Keep that in mind. But then you have the Dodge Charger, which does like 12.7, which is far worse. It's a whole second slower at stage 5 only. So keep that in mind that these cars are different. And this car, not only is it very fast at stage 5 only, it also has incredible high Evo with very little upgrades. You could hit 1600 Evo very easily without any stage 6s. Well, maybe not without stage 6s, but with just engine stage 6, you can hit easily 1600 Evo. Now, what other cars run similar to this? Well, there are other cars in the class, and I'm going to see if I can scroll over to one or two of them just to do a quick demonstration. But this is definitely one of the classic low PP high Evo. Now, another one's this guy here. Actually, you can see the difference between a maxed performance point and a max Evo makes it very competitive. But in most of these cases, you don't get that high Evo point necessarily without sufficient upgrades. But again, these super high Evo cars in T4 are all very effective in live for the reason that they're basically matchmaking against T5 cars in many cases that are actually more upgraded than their cars to run the same time, and you get a lobby advantage. NSX is also a pretty good car in that sense, but the Juke actually match makes favorably against the NSX. Now, let's take a look at some T5 cars that are the same way. There are a few, they're not super high amounts of these type of cars. A lot of other cars that are high Evo cars are also natural dyno beaters. So let's not talk about them real quick. We're just going to skip them to jump to specifically this style of car. Let me see. I don't have every single one of these, nor do I have them built. But let me think of another one that I really want to mention as a similar build situation. These are not it. I believe one of them is coming up, and that is the Bach Mono. All right, this is a T5 car, 622 performance points, and incredibly, it's making 1662 Evo. Does that mean it's going to win every race? No. The Bach Mono's strength is not only can it do this, it can also dyno bust on top of having this. So it already has a favorable matchmaking, and then on top of it, you can also have it beat dyno by another few tenths. So basically, you can't really lose. You can still get bumped, but you can't lose very easily. A good control over how you shift and when you actually run the car under dyno will help you stay in very competitive lobbies. As my license plate says, lobby killer. Okay. Now that is the pre-down-tune setup. I can down-tune it. It'll lose a few hundred of this Evo, still come out about 1200 and still be a killer. Now another one is this guy here. The DB11 is another one of those cars. Now it's a little hard to drive, and you need to actually lobby it according to a lobby bracket. Meaning with these kind of low performance point high Evo cars, you want it to run right on the edge of a lobby. For example, a 10.0 lobby, if I'm actually dynoing 9.9, am I going to win every single race? No. Obviously, cars that are tuned to 10.1 but can run 9.8s will beat me, but if they keep doing that for long, they may get bumped to a higher lobby. But in the meantime, the DB11 is pretty good. It's not going to beat everything in its lobby. For example, this car we know beats dyno. So if I'm dynoing the same as him, and he's in my lobby, he's going to beat me. These guys are very hard in this lobby as well. They tend to run 9.6s, 9.8s. Again, they could be pushed out of the lobby over time, but you have a chance of being somewhat competitive against most T5s and T4s in this lobby. This is a tough lobby, though. Once you get into the 9s, you're dealing with a lot of near-maxed and deleted NSX-R, LB Aventadors. So just looking at the people in here, I know that I'm at a slight disadvantage to actually win most of the matches, but that doesn't mean this car's going to completely lose to everybody. Some of these guys are going to be running 10-1, 10-2s, and you will win. Now, I'm trying to see, oh, well, I guess I was trying to see if I can find a Tempest 3 guy that seems veteran to race, but this is okay too. This car doesn't beat dyno easily unless he has it down-tuned in some way, in which case we'll find out. But let's go ahead and see what we can do here. All right, I didn't drive well at all. I should launch it near perfect. Still, I'm actually moving ahead of him, and I can slow down slightly. That's not really a great demonstration of this car, but let's take a look. So he ran a 10.3, I ran a 10.202, so I'm running slower than dyno, and able to kind of keep ahead. Now, if I launch perfectly like I should have, I probably would be a little more ahead. But let's see if we can't face one of these guys that I suspect I might even lose against, and see what happens if I don't freeze. Okay, let's challenge somebody. This is going to be a tough match. I suspect this car may do a 9.7 in this lobby, but if they're actually 10.2 dyno, they may do a 9.9, so it might be a close match. Oh, never mind. Skip that opportunity. Let me see if I can find another rank. I'm trying to find somebody with a 3 rather than just racing newer players, because it isn't exactly demonstrating much if you're racing brand new guys. All right, so if this guy is a seasoned player, which he should be, he's with a good team, he should know how to tune. It really puts my car to the test. So Again, this car beats dyno, so there's a chance I'll lose this, but we'll find out pretty quick. All right, here we go. Now, hopefully I'll launch it right too. That's another issue. I got to get the right launch out of this. And if you didn't disconnect, there are a lot of ifs in live. It's very tricky. Now, this car has relatively quick shifts, and you can screw it up pretty good, pretty fast. Now, he's far enough behind me, but that car is going to catch up a lot near the end, like that. Again, that car is a dyno buster, so it could be that he's actually tuned to 10.1 something and runs. Oh, well, I didn't run as well as I should have. He ran pretty good, but as you can see, it's a very close race. So this car, again, in the lobby that it's actually in, is competitive. This is, again, a low performance point high evo tune. If I had run this car in slightly slower lobby, say a 11-second lobby with even lower performance points, it'll probably be a lot more dominating. And just looking at this lobby, I got some tough opponents tonight. A lot of very good cars. So that new T4, as I know, is a easy dyno beater. So obviously, it's very challenging to race that car. Let's try somebody else. Let's just see if I can't race somebody who's got a good car and season and win with this car. Now, this car, again, the DB11 isn't a dyno buster. I'm not going to beat dyno. It just lobbies relatively favorably against cars in this class. So I should be facing potentially 10.2 cars. Okay, at least on their dyno, it should be around 10.2. Okay, let's go. Okay, I'm not sure I launched well on that one either, but let's see what happens. Oh, he's catching up. It's going to be tight. Oh, I think I lost. All right, so I'm driving this car relatively poorly. I know I can do better than that. And the game crashes. Oh, yeah, lovely. Okay, let's go back. Doesn't surprise me there. Back. There was a little crash earlier. All right, so I'm kind of getting into kind of some tough fights here where I'm losing. Again, as I was saying, this car is not poorly lobbied. It's just that lobby had a lot of tough opponents and tough cars. And again, right now I'm still stuck here with this lobby. If I can actually run my dyno, I would beat most of these guys. Of course, I haven't driven this car in a long time, so I'm kind of botching some of the ways of launching it. So let's see if I can't take on one more attempt. Let's try somebody else. NSX-R, this one may run a 9998, so it's going to be a tricky run, but it's worth a shot. Okay. Got to get that launch right with this car, though. It does well right on dyno or right near dyno when it launches right, but if you launch it too early or too late, it's going to be a problem. Okay, so again, very quick shifts because of the way the gear is tuned, and it makes it kind of tough to run the car, and I actually win one. All right, great. So even though it's an NSX-R, even though it may be running pretty well, again, I'm doing okay running here. I don't know what these guys' dynos are, but I suspect they're probably dynoing around 10.15 or less because I actually dyno 996 and I'm in a 10-second lobby. Okay, let's see. So again, if I drive perfectly, I should be able to make most races at least very close, if not win. And that is, again, low performance point high evo. Are there more extreme cases of this? Absolutely. I'm going to show you another car which is a crazy low performance point high evo car, and that is the flip car from Fast and Furious. Now, this car is very good in the sense that not only does it run that Evo, no, thank you. Not only does it run that Evo at relatively low upgrades. Look at this. I'm not even upgrading these. This was just stage 5, stage 5, stage 5, stage 5, and everything else is stock. Okay, you can run even less stages, stage 2, 3, 4, and still get 1500, 1600 easy on the Evo, which is a pretty incredible amount. Not only that, this car really easily beats dyno. This is a 10.5 tune, but really you can play with this, make it even tighter, and it'll run better. Part of the reason I put it on the 10.5 is because I want it to be 10.5 or 10.6 because I want it in a particular bracket. I'm actually, again, with these low performance point high Evo cars, you still want it in a specific bracket so that you kind of don't end up against cars that are going to be beating you down because they also beat dyno by another 2/10. Now this car, incidentally, beats dyno by 2/10, 3/10, 5/10 a second if you want, pretty easily. So not only is it a low performance point high Evo car, it is also a dyno buster with very easy ability to do it, making it extremely dangerous against anybody that wants to race against it. Until you get into, of course, max lobby where your car can only go so fast and the other guy can be faster. But anything slower than 8 seconds, 9 seconds, and I don't have enough stage 6s to get into those lobbies necessarily, but anything slower than that, with a little bit of tuning, this car is going to be pretty much deadly. All right, let's see. Maybe if I can get a race against him, it'll be good. If not, I'll take whoever. Here, let's try. Well, this is a new player, I think, so this may not be fair. Let's go back and find someone else. Okay, let's see. One of these guys. Let's try him. Doesn't look like it's matching. All right, that's not going to work. Runs with Westy. Anybody else here? Maybe the NSX-R. This is always a fun match. These cars are very good, and therefore, anytime I could beat one, I feel special. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's see what happens here. Now with this car, just kind of, whoops, skip the gear. But it's okay. I'm still doing good. I'm way ahead. But that doesn't mean he's not going to catch me, so I'm going to keep it tight. Okay? So, again, my dyno was a 10.6. That should have been a 10.5 run. 10.8. So he's only a 10.8. So I lobbied against somebody who only ran a 10.8. And my dyno's a 10.6. Maybe he's not set up right. I don't know. Only way to find out is if I go against another opponent. So we're going to do that. But again, this flip car, absolutely insane amount of Evo points very quickly, and therefore extremely competitive car in the lobby. Let's see. This is again almost like a category in it of its own when it comes to live cars. We did the one with natural dyno beaters. This one's more the low performance point high Evo category. And these cars require a little more tuning, a little better driving for the most part on your part. You're not going to be able to be sloppy with them as much, but they are good cars and they can run very hard. Okay, so again, I slowed down because I was way ahead. I don't want to run under dyno. I don't need to run under dyno, I think. So again, 10.8. So I'm probably in a 10.8 lobby, considering I'm facing cars that generally can beat that lobby's time. This might even be like a 11-second lobby. Okay, and you know my dyno's a 10.6. So this thing is a bit of a monster in live. Not everybody has it, obviously, but it's a great car. All right. Let's go look at another example of this, and then we'll call it for this video. The main thing is that I was actually here to talk about the Juke, which is probably the newest of the low performance point high Evo cars in the game. Let me see if I can't find the other one that I like. Oh, it's right here. All right, so the Jesco. The Jesco, as you can see, at 675 upgrade, has 2340 Evo. That is very high. Okay, kind of look at this guy in comparison, 695, 1326, although that could be higher. That's actually closer to 1700 if you do it just right. But 2300 Evo at 675 upgrades is quite impressive. This is a PP limited setup with no nitrous and downgraded parts on quite a bit, but I am using stage 6 body and engine. Now, this car has been bumped slightly because I also down-tuned it, but it's not bumped by a lot. It's just bumped by about a tenth, which makes it so it's a little harder sometimes to beat opponents. So right here, 8.966. Now I can tune it up this way, but notice the Evo points don't really get any better. Leave it here. You can get a bump down to 9.3, which means my 8.966 run or 9.0 runs will be very effective. As you can see, 1 point bump. So this is both a dyno beater, and even with the downgrade with the grip tune, it's still over 2,000 points. So the car's gonna match make very well. It's gonna run well. It's gonna be generally a winner almost in any situation. So this is another one of those monsters in the lobby that in the 9-second 9.3 lobby, it does quite well. Now, mind you, I did bump it, and it is bumpable, but it doesn't mean that you can't, over time, just kind of drive slower and get it back to normal. And because it's low performance point high Evo, these cars, one, don't bump as easily, and two, bumps back down more easily, right? So you have another advantage there. Now I just have to find somebody to race. I like racing. Oops. I like racing cars that I know don't beat dyno for video purposes, so I can show you what the lobby should be and what I'm running. Because anytime you're running a car that theoretically can beat dyno, you're kind of guessing whether the guy tuned it to beat dyno by the same amount I would, or he tuned it differently. It's a little trickier. So I'm trying to. Darn it! Can't seem to get anybody. Okay. All right, so right here, F1, this car, if I can race him, if. It doesn't look like it's connecting, but if I can race him, it does not normally beat dyno, and he doesn't want to race me. Okay. Or he couldn't race me, who knows. It's not always a refusal because sometimes it just doesn't connect and it shows up as a refusal. All right, so let me see. This doesn't really beat dyno either. Maybe I'll run him. Although he's a newer player, although that doesn't mean he's completely new. The guy could be a veteran just on a newer account. So let's see what happens here. Now the Charger SRT Demon's a little tough to get to beat dyno, so it's kind of a good car to use for finding out where I'm at. Okay, I kind of skipped my gears a little too quick there. This is what I get for using a mouse instead of keys. But as you can see, I'm way ahead, and I kind of let him win, I think. Yep. But I was way ahead. I just want to see what I ran, what he ran. 9.6, 9.6. Okay, now he's not likely to run 9.3s on a 9.6 dyno. He might have launched poorly, so he could still be a 9.3 car that just didn't do well. But I want to try someone else. But you can see with a 9.3 dyno, the Jesco is already in a lobby full of cars that possibly are 9.3 to 9.6 range rather than 9.3 to 9.0 range. Okay. This is a good car to race against, but they run under dyno too. This thing can run way under dyno. Well, actually, maybe not. Let me try him. This one's hard to tune to run under dyno. You could get it to beat dyno a little bit with the right tune, but I think in the 8-second, 9-second lobbies, probably not. I could be wrong. I may have not found the tune, and this guy did, but I have a feeling he's probably going to run what he's going to run just because he's dyno to it. So let me see here. It's going to jump out pretty quick. And if I jump out ahead of him, I got him. Okay. Whoa. Slow down. All right. Right. I had to slow down. Again, I don't want to bump my car even more than it's already bumped. What do we got? 9.522. I did a 9.475. So the bracket probably is a 9.3 to 9.6 bracket. And that's where I'm at. I did a 9.475. I'm going to let him have this race. I mean, obviously, I'm not here just to take people out. And he has swap symbols. Maybe he'll run faster this run, too. He might have held back. So let's see what happens. But again, I think his car probably isn't going to run under dyno. I've tuned that car before, and it's very difficult to get it under dyno. You could get it under dyno, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be harder to do that in the 9.0 lobby here, or 9.3 lobby, as the case may be. All right, what did he run? 9.507. Okay, so this is another one that's very, very strong and has a slight bump down. So absolutely strong car in the lobby. So if I were in a mood where I don't want to lose or don't want to give up races too easily, but I don't want to run a car that doesn't generate full RP, this would be one of my choices. The Bach Mono is one of my choices, and the flip car is one of my choices. And you know, this is just one category of, again, cars, and a lot of them actually are in T4, not T5. The new Audi RS Avant, apparently RS6 Avant, apparently is also one of these guys that are low performance point high Evo. LB Aventador is as well, but it also beats dyno naturally, so it has a double advantage. Again, that's why it's a very good live racer. And the rest, unfortunately, doesn't mean the rest of these cars are bad. It's just that they don't tune this way. They don't rely on high Evo point, low performance point combinations to be a good car. They just have to be tuned differently. And one of the things that I do notice is, however, in this game, if you're going to live, having anything that's lower and higher, the bigger the gap, the better the matchmaking generally. Okay. There's also this glitch tuned Corvette. I'm not going to get into this. It has its own video already on YouTube. But again, that's the extreme of the car actually is running lower performance point than stock and running 1600 Evo points. So of course, it's still slow. It runs like 15.8s, but boy, it's almost unbeatable in that lobby. So again, low performance point high Evo cars are usually not the ones that are going to be super fast in the lobby, but they're going to lobby very well, and therefore they're very competitive. I just wanted to make a video on that. And again, the Juke-R, a very good car because of that. You can tune it again, just like I can do with the Jesco. I could sacrifice some of this to get a 2/10 dyno beating margin, but it really doesn't need it for the most part, and it runs very well without having to go down that path. All right, and there's my vanity plate because it is ugly. In any case, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Some people love this car. They think it looks cool simply because it has a GTR motor in it. But let's be honest, if you see the average Juke on the road, your reaction would not be that it's cool. I mean, this one is wide body and all that, so it's a little cooler, but it still looks like a toad. So that's my opinion. Some people like it, but I think most people would agree with me. In comparison, you know, the Silvia right here is a much nicer looking car, right? Okay. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this video. I wanted to kind of talk about the Juke in live, talk about the low performance point high Evo effects in live, and it's been overdue to kind of be done as a video, so I want to introduce that to you. Feel free to comment or ask me questions about this. This is a bit of a concept that not everybody gets in the first time. So if you have questions, feel free to ask it. And you know, if you like the video, please leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel if you want to get notifications when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.